Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Very happy to have you all here. We have some very exciting stuff to talk about today. My name is Robert, and I wanted to say welcome and thank you for joining our webinar. It's a great piece of technology that we want to talk to you today about, both on the hardware side and the software side, and the partnership that we put together in terms of aimed at getting the absolute best possible solutions for you guys, the mining industry. Alrighty, let's just jump into it. First of all, I want to make a couple of introductions. So my name is Robert, as I mentioned. I'm the Global Sales Manager at Quantum Systems, and I've got with me today Matteo and Elijah joining from Strayos, who are going to talk to you a little bit more in depth about the software capabilities and also just basically how the integration works and how excited we are about that. Just a couple of housekeeping points. If you have any questions at any point, please don't hesitate to put them into the question section on the right-hand side of your screen. You should have that visible. But we're also going to share our contact information at the end of the webinar as well, to make sure that if you have anything that you want to follow up on, you will certainly be able to do that. As well as that, this webinar is going to be recorded, so we will be sending that out to all of the participants from the webinar today, and you can watch through this at your leisure to dig a little bit deeper into any parts that you might want to understand more. But first, I wanted to say again, welcome to Matteo and Elijah. Thanks for joining me today as well. And I'm sure we'll have plenty to hear from them very soon. Alrighty, so to start off with, I just want to give you a bit of a brief history on Quantum Systems and tell you a little bit about who we are. Some of you will know of us already, some of you won't, but Quantum Systems is a drone manufacturer that is focused on eVTOL platforms. And what that means is that we produce drones that are able to fly at extremely long-range capabilities, but also have the flexibility and the advantages of a multi-rotor. This has been a dream of our company ever since 2015 when it was founded, and our founder and the rest of the founding team were absolutely convinced of this technology and really marrying the benefits of those two types of system. So it's really a dream of ours to make the most capable platform that has the maximum and peak efficiency while still having that flexibility. So as I said, we started in 2015, but since then we've rapidly changed and grown and developed our technology further and further, and that culminated in the release of the very first Trinity product in 2017. As we've gone from 2017 through to now, we've gone through 4 generations of this platform now, and we've been pushing that system out across the world. Our drone is being used all over the world in over 90 countries. We have over 70,000 hours of flight time across the entire fleet and over 145,000 flights. We've released dozens of software and firmware updates over the years, each time increasing our capabilities and increasing the reliability of our drone. We have a truly global presence with over 80 resellers stretching all across the world, providing you with high quality support and assistance in cases of any kind of mishaps or any kind of development that you want to do to increase your capabilities locally. So I mentioned that there were 4 generations. The very last one that we've just released is the new Trinity Pro, and this is our latest and greatest from our factory with the highest level of drone capabilities. We've really pushed the boundaries with this platform, and we wanted to make sure that it's able to work in the absolute toughest of environments, like we've seen in a lot of different mining environments. So with this new product, we're able to handle up to 18 meters per second in wind gusts and up to 12 meters per second for takeoff and landing. We also wanted to make sure that if you're outside, the drone is able to fly as well. So it can now handle up to it now has an IP rating of 55, so IP55, which means that it's able to handle some basic, it's able to handle actually quite a lot of rain, even to the point where realistically, I'm not sure the surveyors want to be out in the field. Additionally, we've also increased the capabilities on this platform of the operating environment with respect to elevation as well. So we're now able to fly up to 5,500 meters with this product, which means that just about every mine site in the world should be covered by that envelope. And no matter where you are, you'll be able to take off and land successfully. We really designed this product to be rugged. I personally have been on a lot of different mine sites through the years, and we wanted to make sure that this drone can handle no matter what, it can handle anything you want to throw at it. We know that the gear that lives on a mine site needs to be up to standard. We know the tough conditions that you guys are operating in. So we designed this platform to be able to handle it. And this is a platform that's been designed to evolve as well. As we continue to develop our technology, both with hardware and the software, we'll continue to make upgrades and changes to this platform that will be unlocked over time, including things like advanced flight planning, safety, and automation features, all elements that we know are extremely important within the mining environment. Lastly, on the Trinity Pro, I just want to mention the wide array of different sensors that we have available, and many of these are extremely useful in the mining environment. We have photogrammetry cameras, which I know are pretty well understood within the mining industry. And we have the Sony RX1 and we have the Sony UMC. Both of these cameras have got their different applications. We see a lot of guys using the Sony RX1 for its extremely high resolution and high quality outputs. And we see people using the Sony UMC when they're really trying to stretch the coverage and use a lightweight payload in order to do some rapid mapping. Additionally to that, though, we've also added to our portfolio with the Oblique D2M. And the Oblique D2M camera is a really interesting one that enables us within the mining context to get extremely high quality data on pit walls and faces and any kind of vertical structure where you might normally struggle with traditional photogrammetry. We also do, of course, have some multispectral cameras, which we've seen a couple of mining companies starting to use now as well, as they start to, monitor and check the environment as they do, different kinds of environmental projects. But typically speaking, most of our mining customers do, of course, stick with photogrammetry cameras. And lastly, very excitingly, we also have a survey-grade LiDAR solution too, and that's our Cube 240. This is the best-in-class survey-grade LiDAR on a fixed-wing platform, and it's truly exceptional what sort of data you're able to get out of it. We've had some really excited customers operating within a mining context who are able to now penetrate trees and canopies and capture the data that they really need, irrespective of the different types of data that they're looking for. So we have a huge different array of different payloads, trying to make sure that we cover every single possible application. And certainly within the mining industry, we have a lot of different solutions available. As a result of that, over the course of the last couple of years, we've been quite successful in the mining industry. I think mining is really one of those industries where people understand the benefits of drone technology and what they can do with it. So as a result of that, we've got customers of ours operating these drones in dozens of countries in every continent around the world. And that's given us a lot of experience. We've learned a lot from our customers as they really push these systems to the limits, and we've learned how to build a system that is able to handle those limits and really excel in the tough environments that we know mining customers are used to. It's being used by a lot of different companies. I'm not going to name drop any of them here, but some of the largest mining companies around the world have been using our platform very successfully, and they're expanding their utilization of them as well. We've seen a variety of different applications. There's lots of different things and lots of different data sets that you need to find around your mine site for various different things. And as the drones continue to be adopted more and more, we're seeing the drones being utilized more and more in actually capturing that sort of data. So that's really pushed the growth on our side. We've seen fleets expanding, applications growing, and just generally the adoption of the market increasing significantly. It's been a really interesting couple of years, and we can see that the mining industry is really leading the pack in terms of drone adoption as they really push the boundaries on data acquisition and what can be done with aerial data. That all being said, even though there's all of these different users, there's still a lot of complexity with the workflows, right? I can remember going back to the beginning of the commercial drone industry and how difficult and complicated it would be, how all of the different software solutions that you had to jump through in order to be able to actually use that aerial data that you've just captured. And it's improved slowly but surely, but this is really where it comes down to today and why we're so excited about our partnership with Strayos. because Strayos have got a really wide array of different software solutions as well that will really change the game and change the way that people are interacting with aerial data. They're looking to remove a lot of that complexity in the workflow and give our mining customers a really simple solution that enables them to be quick and efficient, and they don't have to be the absolute experts in drone operations that we've had to rely on over the last decade or so. So with that, I'm really happy to hand over to Strayos, who are going to explain a little bit more about their software packages and how they're using AI to really push the boundaries of data.
Rob, thank you very much, and pleasure to be here. And thank you for everyone that is also attending this webinar. So just a bit of an agenda here. I'm going to dive into the role of drones and AI in mining operations, tying things a bit with the excellent technology that the Quantum Systems team has brought to market very recently. And then in the second part of the presentation, we're going to do a deep dive into mining use cases. So we're going to go from, let's say, the more 20,000 feet theoretical talk into really the value that these technologies bring to the mining market. So without further ado, just a bit of about Strayos. Strayos is a software company which focuses on applying artificial intelligence to different data sources. We've been in the market since 2016. We are currently in 30 countries. In terms of footprints, we're in a bit more than 1,500 mines and quarries. And very importantly is that we also have a global presence. And you can see here where we have our offices, but very importantly, we know mining is 360 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we're very keen in providing a 24/7 live customer support. So anywhere in the world, any day and night, we are able to provide that live customer support, and that we learn throughout the years that it's a very strong capabilities. As I mentioned, we look at data in a bit of a different way. So you can see down at the bottom of this slide some of the analytics around the projects that we have in the platform, and kind of like the amount of images that have been analyzed. So to help a bit of the understanding, we wanted to bring in a slide early in the presentation, the Strayos side, to really help you understand what Strayos really does when it comes to the mining value chain. So if we look at the market today, the majority of the market, when we look at drones, and I've been a decade in this market, but essentially what is the traditional way is I fly a drone, I process imagery, and I bring it into a third party. And that's been the case for the last probably 10, 15 years. What we've built at Strayos, which really was really the emphasis and the focus of the company has been on providing solutions to specific use cases, is that we as Strayos bring an added value to each step of the mining value chain, which also means we go beyond surveying. So we also do surveying, of course, so that's where kind of we start. So it starts with surveying planning. Then we have solutions for geology analysis. Then we move to drill and blast, and we have a a complete suite of products for drill and blast. Further than that, we provide solutions for loading and hauling and, let's say, geotechnical analysis. Then we go into processing and then reporting. So these all sit in one platform, because the fundamental idea, also based on what Rob mentioned earlier, is not that you need 5, 6, 7 different pieces of technology to actually get to the end point. The vision has always been to provide as close as it gets to an end-to-end solution. So it's really going all the way from survey and planning, geology, drill and blast, loading and hauling, geotechnical analysis, processing and reporting, so that we can really fulfill this entire mining value chain and really provide answers to specific use cases and use geospatial data as the main source of data to provide those solutions. So if we look again, just to give a bit of an understanding about Strayos, if we look at the change that we are bringing to the market and we believe in, and we simplify it. If we look at the slide right at this moment, you see that there is data capture, there is data processing, and third-party integration. And this is the traditional market. We found, from product perspective, that there was a gap that we could fulfill in let's say on the data processing part. So basically, what we've started doing is that we said, okay, there is data capture, there is data processing, and third party. This is an established workflow. But then we said, okay, we can tie the AI into and mix it with photogrammetry to really extract more value from the data that mining companies are actually collecting every day. So what was the thought around it? We said, okay, users don't like to change the workflow. They don't like to change, standard operating procedures. But what about if we do all the heavy lifting and we extract more data from the same data that is collected every day? And that's what we built. So basically, the user goes out, flies a Trinity Pro, and then with the same exact workflow, collects data. The only thing that changes with Strayos is eventually a user interface, then uploads the data to the cloud, and then as a technology software company, we said, okay, we're going to do all the heavy lifting, which also means we're going to apply AI to extract more value from the same data. So from a user perspective, the same workflow, but there is way more value and way more use cases that are fulfilled, which also means once you bring it into a third party, because these exist and have been existing on the mines for many years. So and that's not where we focus. We really focus on that middle step there. Is that what is really happening is that we are able to bring better data, which also means less manual work, which also means we provide quicker answers. So essentially, we provide more value from each flight. And this honestly has been a dream of mine for the last probably 10 years. I've seen a lot of data that is captured, and I always thought there must be something more that can be done with that data. And I think now we're really in a next gen phase in the industry where by keeping the same workflow, we can really extract more value. And Without further ado, I'll pass it on to Eli, who's going to take us through some of the concrete use cases. And yeah, I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the presentation.
Thank you, Matteo. Yeah, pleasure to be here and speak on behalf of Strayos and share some of the use cases here. Carrying on from what Rob and Matteo shared, what we're doing is bringing more value to these drone flights. And what I'll share today are some specialty use cases and some vertical solutions to how we can apply AI to the mining workflow. But by no means, there's a lot of tools and modules in Strayos that can help on many different levels. And I think these will speak well to the mining industry here on how we can improve on the current workflows. So we'll start things off with inventory management, carrying through to our haul road assessment, pit progress design, talk about high walls, and then end with our drill and blast progress. So to begin, Strayos, similar to other photogrammetry softwares, can analyze and provide volumetric information regarding stockpiles and inventory management. What's different about Strayos here is where we apply the AI is the auto detection of these stockpiles. So versus an older workflow where you might have to manually draw these piles, which you can still do in the software, the AI can automatically detect these, and then users have the option to upload material databases so they can then tie densities to achieve tonnages and even pricing to that. Based on this auto detection and volumetric suite of tools we also have our automated reporting to report all the findings and essentially track the inventory in the site where there's material coming out, going, being produced. There's a dashboarding function that can be utilized by users to track the progress and measure quantities accurately and report their prices. So to go along with the inventory management, there are several tools in the software where you can look at volumes at different levels of areas for more maybe a pit planning and progress monitoring sort of tool. And in this example here, we're looking at our layered volume tool where we can look at segregate different layers of the geology, or if we're trying to segregate overburden from our mineral content, we can really break out these layers to adjust where in the planning workflow we're trying to mine this material at different levels. So just gives the user some flexibility on how they want to report their quantities and plan their mining operation. So transitioning now, we'll look at how we can apply AI to the haul roads and also the high walls. So starting with the haul road assessment, based on the drone data and the surveys that you're achieving with the Trinity Pro, with these surveys, we can extract haul road information. And where Strayos applies the AI to this is the auto detection of the haul roads. So you can see in the image on the top right corner, the haul roads in this example have been detected, but then from that, the user can toggle on the options to see things such as grades, crossfalls, berm heights, road widths of those haul roads that are detected. This is all automated. It's a process that occurs when the upload of imagery and the processing of the 3D model happens. And this has a direct benefit on topics such as safety, addressing things such as fuel consumption, project compliance, talking about high wall heights or berm heights, road widths, etc. So being able to extract this information, bringing this into third-party softwares for further analysis if necessary, can all be done. But essentially gaining this information from the drone flight is now an option that doesn't need to be done in any other software. It is important to mention here we can run this on standalone data versus historical. So previous drone flights, Strayos has the capabilities of uploading process 3D models to run the analysis as well. So speaking further on the haul road analysis, we can also highlight several sections that we want to report individually on the site. So in this example here, we can see how sections of the haul road have been identified, and we can see those KPIs on the bottom where we're looking at things such as the road widths, the berm heights, the crossfalls, that we can track and report individual sections at a time. We can also copy these regions of interest to separate projects. So if you're flying your site maybe in the beginning of the month, and maybe at the end of the month and you want to compare any changes in those haul roads, maybe see how the grade has changed or any of physical features that we kind of talked about here. You can do that from project to project. And lastly, with the reporting, all the modules in Strayos are going to come with an automated reporting function. What this means is based on the data and what the user decides to manipulate, toggle on or off, and show as maybe a percent, as we can see here on the cover page. This will then be formatted in an automated report that can be shared via email or PDF, with their team, showing the findings of, in this case, the haul road assessment. So we can see those road grades, crossfalls, berm heights, and road widths, and then some supplemental information in the report as well. But again, the automated process serves a huge time savings in the operation itself. So the overall benefit of monitoring these haul roads, some mines out there vary in size from, very large mines with complex haul road systems to, maybe smaller systems that, these trucks are running on a daily basis. So overall, with this monitoring progress, what we can really look at is trying to improve cycle times. So understanding the traffic patterns, maybe preventing any safety incidents on the road. Reducing fuel and tire use is also a huge cause where we can, address maybe where grades are exceeding, the desired grade on the road itself, or we're looking on tire use and wear. So a lot of these direct functions that we can pull from the haul road assessment, we can measure and really gain a benefit in the operational stage. Touching on the haul road use cases, we have a customer case study here, where in this case, more of a moving case where a 27% savings you can see on the slide of the transportation of 10 million tons. So, some use cases and case studies might not have this as much as savings, but there's always savings that can be derived from this data in some way, shape, or form. In this case, the 11% savings improved from the drainage and addressing those crosswalk conditions, which is saving them time of going back out and fixing roads any after some severe rainstorms or participation. And then overall saving costs on fuel as well. So we'll transition to the high wall and the geotechnical side of things with the use cases regarding Strayos. So when talking about high wall safety, Strayos is going to apply AI to detect these physical features of the mine site. First of which is going to be the automated crest and toe detection. So based on the site, what's going to happen is as the model processes and uploads, we'll see this automated crest and toe detection, which we can then pull things such as the high wall heights, face angles, catch bench widths, inner ramp angles of the data. You can see in the image on the upper right hand corner, we're looking at these face angles, and you'll see a trend with Strayos where you can see the color and the adjustment on the left hand side of that image, where users can adjust the thresholds and depict what percentages or heights they want to see in the model to then be reported. Based on this information, it's a full custom feature where they can also report things such as cross sections, as we can see in the bottom image, to then further be reported, whether it's a line segment drawn or maybe an area of interest, both of which can be analyzed more in a granular structure than looking at the entire mine itself. Looking at the benefit of monitoring these conditions, right? It's again with the safety aspect, but also, with safety and compliance itself. So making sure high walls are in compliance, catch bench widths, looking at things such as monitoring, maybe design to actual, something we'll get into later here. So again, mentioning that we can run this information, based on the drone models that you're currently flying, or if there's process 3D models as well. Here we're looking at a process photogrammetry model from Strayos, where we can see that little area of interest in the thumbnail in the upper right-hand corner, where this area is going to be further analyzed, where we'll see the reports here on the next slide, where we can see a cross-section that was drawn, but also based on the area of interest, we can monitor and measure things such as the high wall heights, the angles, catch bench widths, and inner ramp angles within that one section of area. So again, with the automated reporting, what we can look at is the geotechnical high wall analysis in a report. So based on those areas that users select, in the image on the first page of the report there, we see the crest and toe that has been shown, but also we can see how the users set the thresholds based on percentages, so how they want to see the high wall height, the face angle, those physical characteristics. And then of course the supplemental information in the report as well. But just showing a sample of how this can be generated and then again shared with the team, whether it's via email, PDF, utilizing the cloud-based software, so access can be remote anywhere. Talking about the more of a compliance and comparing design versus actual conditions in the mine. So what we can do in Strayos is also upload DXF surface to maybe it's a mine plan that we want to upload to compare to the drone flight that we went out and captured. So what we can do here and what we're looking at in this example is looking at overbreak and underbreak in the mine condition. So red are showing areas of overbreak, blue showing areas of underbreak, and we can pull quantities and volumes to this to report areas that we're overmining, undermining, looking at things such as crest loss or toe flare, and really getting a good accurate depiction on how the mining conditions are following that design and running these compliance checks based on the drone data that you're flying. So again, getting more value from that drone flight, understanding the workflow, the operation, and just analyzing more data based on that one drone flight that's being completed. Additionally to the geotechnical side of things, we also have a rock mass AI that can be applied to high walls and certain areas in the mine where we want to look at dominant discontinuities in the geology, looking at things such as bedding planes, joints, seams, reporting things such as dip angle, strike direction, strike. So all these features we can see in the image, some of those dominant bedding planes are being shown in the purple lines, but also showing this in the stereo net as well. So this further geotechnical analysis can be done in the software, which will tie into the high wall safety as well. So talking about the overall benefit of this up-to-date high wall assessment, we're going to first talk about safety and monitoring these high wall conditions to prevent, wall failures and looking at things such as slopes. This is going to have a huge cause and direct effect on monitoring these cases to prevent, things such as the high wall failures. Also talking about prevented ore loss, understanding the geology and also preventing rework in the mine, making sure things are mined according to plan, areas are being mined correctly to design, and we can measure that using the compliance tool that we looked at. So we'll transition to our pit progress and design conformance. I'll take a second to note here, Strayos is not a long-term mine plan software. Essentially what we do is look at day-to-day conditions, and we can apply more short to mid-range planning features that can be used in parallel to maybe a long-term mine planning software. And what does that mean exactly? So Strayos, again, we mentioned some of the options where you can overlay a design to the actual mine conditions, as we can see in the upper left-hand corner image. But we also have tools in the software where you can run cut fill analysis. So if you want to compare two data sets to look at extraction of material in a certain area, you can do so, or maybe run this on a design layer that you want to upload as well. We have those options to run more of those short-term planning features in monitoring the conditions of the cut fill, for example. We talked about the layer volume tool a few slides ago, but essentially, we can segment certain areas and report volumes to really show more of a shorter outlook of conditions that are looked to be mined in high quantities to those for operational purposes. Looking at the pit progress and in compliance, again, we talked on the cut fill, but also Strayos is going to report or have the option to report several elevation models, contour files, custom generation for different mapping projections, looking at areas of non-compliance when comparing two models, and also just monitoring volumes of excavated material. A lot of the graphics we're seeing on these slides, they're all straight from Strayos. However, we can export all this information to third-party softwares, as Matteo mentioned prior, where if we want to export a contour file in a different mapping projection or maybe different units, that can easily be done, as well as any of the surface models, terrain models, elevation heat maps. So a lot of these exports can be easily downloaded and brought into other softwares that are respected by the industry. So lastly, we're going to talk on the drill and blast project progress. So Strayos, not going to say specialized in drill and blast, but we definitely have a robust suite of tools to complete the drill and blast workflow. And that's going to start with completing a drill design within the software, but also allowing users to upload their own drill designs that maybe have already done or carried out in the field. Following that, users can then complete a loading and timing functions of that design. And also Strayos is going to allow them to view prediction models for fragmentation, muck pile, and vibration analysis. We then offer more performance measurements where we can look at fragmentation data, look at things such as muck pile movement, and further vibration tools as well. So within the drill and blast workflow, one of those tools is going to be the floor control. What we can see in the image here is based on the mine we're looking at, we can monitor these floor conditions to look at high spots or low spots in the floor. Crucial in the loading and hauling process, making sure that, these floors are smooth for equipment to run over, but also when we look at the drilling and blasting operation, making sure, this floor grade stays level, we're not over digging or under digging, excess sub drill or maybe high bottom from the drilling and blasting operation. So we can overlay this drill and blast data to the floor to correlate any issues that we're seeing in the floor, whether it is high bottom or maybe sub drills being dug out, and making sure we can relay this information to the operation to make sure that the drill and blast operation is moving along correctly. So another area we're going to apply AI in the drill and blast progress is going to be our hole caller. So hole caller auto detection. So what we can do is essentially based on the drone model, we can fly a blast post drill, and essentially the AI is going to auto detect the caller location. What we can do from there is then overlay the design to measure any surface deviation. This is going to serve as a good quality control, making sure these drills are drilling in the correct location. And monitoring this, we can see on the left-hand side the image, the bullseye image showing the kind of the standard mean error of drill holes based on the planned location. And we can see on the bottom right-hand corner the AI detecting those drill holes, but also overlaying the plan to those. And we see based on the thresholds that the user set, areas in red are showing holes that have deviated further from the design versus areas in green, which are pretty on point. So this is a very easy tool to use, and essentially to provide very valuable data on the quality of that drilling, which is going to have a direct effect on the shot outcome, whether it's excess burden or spacing, looking at how accurately these drills are setting up, which will have a downturn on the actual shot outcome. So looking at another use case or specific case example here, where we can see the shot based on the ortho photo, we can see the AI detected holes, and we can see the design that has been overlaid to that. In that one location there, we can see the drilled hole versus the planned location. Monitoring these conditions, yes, holes will never be placed in the correct location in some instances based on, the field conditions. However, being able to monitor and measure the changes is going to be crucial in the loading process. So looking more on the AI capabilities in the prediction and the fragmentation modules. So we can see here on the right-hand side, the AI prediction for fragmentation. So what happens here is based on the drill design within Strayos and the loading and the timing and some geology characteristics of that, we can produce a prediction model. In that image, we can see the distributions as well as the fragmentation graph in the fragmentation graph, but also on the left-hand side, we see the parameters that create that prediction. So that's going to be the burden, the spacing, looking at things such as powder factor, some of the geology characteristics on the bottom. This information is all going to come together to form this prediction, but it also allows users to make adjustments in those parameters to compare any changes, whether they want to adjust their pattern slightly and see the fragmentation prediction adjust, or maybe they want to adjust their powder factor or the products they're using in that blast to then see any changes in the fragmentation prediction. Based on the prediction model, we can also analyze post-blast data in the muck pile itself. So on the left-hand side of the screen, we can see the muck pile with the distribution colors shown for the different rock sizing, and also in the smaller image within that, the actual distribution graph. So we can then compare these two, prediction versus actual, and this is going to feed the machine learning to give the user more accurate predictions in the future based on the site conditions that we're seeing. So it really forms a complete workflow where in the drill and blast operation, we can really look at our current conditions and see where we can make improvements and measure those improvements based on what we're seeing from fragmentation data, and really optimizing these blast conditions. So we talked about the fragmentation, and I'll also speak on the muck pile analysis. So similar to the prediction on the fragmentation, we can also predict the muck pile, and this is going to predict things such as your average and maximum throws, center of mass movement, trough drop, really looking at the movement of that muck pile based on the design, the loading, the timing, looking at things such as stem height, the geology. Based on this prediction, whether it's a loader-based operation, excavator, or shovel, really optimizing the cast of that muck pile to benefit the digging operation that's taking place. Just after a few blasts that can be analyzed, understanding the movement of this muck pile, maybe the mine has things really down packed and its muck piles and the drill and blast operation is operating smoothly, but measuring these conditions and maybe tweaking the smallest things can really serve a great savings over time. So looking at things in the measurement here, detecting the boundaries of the muck pile, this is something that the AI is going to do in both the fragmentation and the muck pile, but also in the prediction side, calibrating these predictions and adjusting things so future predictions are going to become more accurate after feeding that post-blast data. So overall, looking at the drill and blast quality control, why is this important? I always like to say, drilling and blasting is kind of the head on the spear for the mining operation. It's how we're extracting minerals, moving large amounts of earth and rock to be processed, and using explosives is the best tool to do that. When we move this material, really trying to improve the dig and crusher rates is the ultimate goal. Making sure the digging operation is smooth, fragmentation is ideal. And essentially, maybe you're trying to separate ore from waste products. So really understanding, how we can manipulate these conditions and design our shots properly to improve these dig rates and crushing rates. This all starts with the drilling as well. Drilling is the highest cost in this operation, and understanding and making sure that the drilling is done correctly, holes are in the proper place, proper patterns are being achieved, and we're measuring that, on a consistent basis to make sure conditions are optimized. This will all feed into the overall cost of drilling and blasting. So, the better quality shot that's on the ground, the easier it's going to be able to dig, the more efficient the crusher is going to be able to operate, all saving a cost in each step of the operation that's going to compound greatly over time. And that's what we're here to do, is to help with this, provide the information, the value from the drone flights, compiling all these tools into one software is what we're here to help with. So that wraps up the use cases, and we'll open it up here with the group to any questions regarding both quantum systems and Strayos.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Elijah, and thanks, Matteo. I think you'll all agree that this is there's some really impressive capabilities within the Strayos solution here, and that's why we're so excited to be working with them. We've been talking to them for several months and working with them very closely since then to try to make sure that we are providing the best end-to-end mining solution, as was mentioned a couple of times through this webinar. So I know a lot of people in this webinar are already doing a lot of these kinds of applications already and are working through it in a very manual way. So I'd encourage you to take a closer look at the solution being provided here, the Quantum Systems drone, combined with the Strayos software packages, to really consider how much more efficient you could be. But we have a couple of questions, so we'll jump straight into those. The first question that I want to put forward is, how accurate is the AI detection? And I think that's going to be one for Matteo or Elijah.
Yeah, that's a great question. So a lot of times, very common question about the AI, and I'll start with, it's going to start with the data collection, and the AI, with most photogrammetries, AI aside, you're going to want to achieve, high GSD ground sampling distance based on the imagery. The more accurate these images are, and the better quality they are, will only yield better results in the AI. So, for example, we'll touch on crest and toe auto detection. The location of that crest and toe, it's physical, it's not going to change in the image. However, the more accurately that we can depict that transition from the crest to the toe line will only serve in the AI detection. So the AI is very accurate, and it's going to detect these things. It's been trained to detect these terrain features and be applied in these certain cases on a lot of special algorithms. However, the accuracy will only be improved on the accuracy of the model generation. So what does that mean? Essentially, flying at the correct altitudes, making sure you have proper flight plans, your imagery is clear at a low ground sampling distance to report the best AI produced data, we'll say.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Elijah. The next question that we have is, what's the price? And of course, that's a very classic question. So we'll address this in two parts. On the drone side, we have a very competitive offering with the drone itself, but the actual price is going to depend widely depending on what configuration you're looking at with respect to cameras, respect to additional equipment, and of course, the additional costs of logistics and getting it to wherever you are operating in the world. So if you're interested to know a little bit more and to get some pricing information, my information will be available at the end of the webinar. You can certainly reach out to me directly, or you can go directly to our website and get in contact with us there, and we can reach out to you with the drone pricing. As for the Strayos solution, I'll hand over to Matteo.
Yeah, at our end, what I can say is that we always start with understanding the challenge you're trying to solve. And overall, Strayos is a very modular platform. And likewise, I would welcome to drop me a line if you're interested in pricing, and definitely discuss about it. But first and foremost, we can really need to understand what we're trying to achieve, what the challenges are, and then we can definitely find a competitive proposal to overcome those challenges.
Fantastic. Thanks, Matteo. Another question I have is, why use this drone instead of DJI? Well, we get that question a lot. Realistically, I know that the DJI technology has really expanded a lot over the last couple of years, and I know that this technology is being used in a lot of different mine sites around the world as well, and rightly so. It's a great technology, but as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, we've seen drone applications, drone usage, and the amount of data being captured by drones has just continued to expand at an extreme rate over the last couple of years. And as the mines become more capable and more used to having access to that information, we've only seen that accelerate. So really, the point of a VTOL system and the point of our product is to expand on the efficiency of a drone. We have the same flexibility as any DJI platform in terms of being able to take off and land in any location, and the same operational, ease of use and everything that goes along with that. But we also have the capability to really push the boundaries in terms of not only flight speed and therefore the amount of data captured per hour, but also with respect to how much can be captured by the drone. So really, that's the point, right? That the reason why you would use our platform, it comes down to, as you expand your operations, you will find very quickly where the realistic limits of a multi-rotor operation lie, and how a VTOL or a fixed wing based platform can get you past those limitations. Okay, next question is, which camera works well with the Strayos software? Again, I think we can probably tackle this in two parts. I went through our payload offerings at the beginning of the presentation. Fundamentally, we've seen in the mining industry that it's predominantly photos being used, so photogrammetry and RGB cameras. And as Elijah mentioned, the key here for good quality AI detection is going to be in having high quality imagery. So from that point of view, most of the time I would say that our mining customers are using the Sony RX1 camera, but that's not the end of the story. We also do have the LiDAR-based option as well, which is also perfectly usable in the Strayos solution too. So you can really get the benefit of both sides depending on what kind of data you're looking for. I don't know, Matteo or Elijah, if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, I think you answered it well, Rob. Again, Strayos, we have our own in-house photogrammetry engine, and talking about the high quality images, we can take, the different cameras that Rob offered in the offerings, those are all suitable with Strayos. And I would just say, making sure flight plans are done correctly at correct altitudes with good overlap of the images, similar to other photogrammetry models, will only benefit the model generation and the accuracy that is seen.
Yep, fantastic. Great. We got another question about the preparation time. So how long does it take to the first install to the time that I can use it? I'm assuming you're talking about, again, both the drone and the software. So I'll answer on our part. The software, the drone itself is very easy to use. We have a typical training program that we normally run through, but we have a lot of operators who are able to get out and start using that kit pretty much immediately, let's say within a day. There's not a whole lot that needs to go through on that side, and it's a very simple system to use. Again, the fourth generation, we've really pushed to try to make sure that this is a platform that is simple and straightforward while still remaining capable. On the software side, our photos will go directly into the Strayos platform, so there's not really any need for additional changes or modifications or anything from that side. In terms of startup time and getting operational with the Strayos software, Matteo or Elijah?
Yeah, no problem. So starting off with the data capture and the uploading, Strayos is a cloud-based software. You can log in from the web, anywhere you're located, and it's all going to start with the upload of the imagery. So you'll go out, fly your drone, collect your data, upload that to the platform. Depending on the amount of images in the area that you covered, that's going to affect the processing time. However, what we can see is once the images are uploaded, they'll be geotagged, of course. Whether you're using, ground control points on your site, we can upload those as well with the images. Processing times are going to vary based on the amount of images. So it can vary from, anywhere from half hour to 45 minutes for smaller flights to, a few hours to, several hours for larger flights with, thousands of images. So it's really going to vary depending on the use case. But essentially with the time of training on the platform, what we do is we usually will run, again, similar to Rob said, some training with a trial. Once customers are interested and they want to try things out, upload some of their own data. We also provide example data sets in that first month of a free trial. We'll walk them through the process, provide the training necessary, and then once they're on their own, we do have that 24/7 support that Matteo mentioned, and we're always here to help and assist. So as far as Strayos being very user friendly, I think that's something that we get a lot of feedback on. It's not a robust, complicated CAD-like software where it's going to take weeks on end to learning all the ins and outs, and with a lot of complicated features. I think users will find this very user friendly, but it does have those same valuable tools that can be done in other software. So I'll turn it over to Matteo, see if he has anything to add to that regarding the startup.
No, that was perfect. And Eli, you've been a user for 5 years, so that was perfect.
Perfect. Okay, I've got one more question here that we can look at. Would Strayos software integrate with Cubase 3D? As I mentioned before, we can go directly at the moment from the photos that come out of the drone, and they can go directly into the Strayos software. In terms of deeper integration, well, from this point forward, everything that we've seen from the Strayos side, we know that they're going to continue developing, and we're going to continue developing as well. So we're of course going to make sure that we integrate as closely as we can, but I think already that we have a really solid starting point. Another question for the Strayos guys, I think, where are your servers located? And did you already have a case when a customer is using software on their own server?
So overall, so being a cloud-based service, our servers are kind of located in many areas. So it's essentially, if the questions regarding, nothing's going to be done on the user's computer. So essentially, you don't have to worry about any processing on the computer. Our servers are located kind of in different areas. So, a lot of the data is also very secure. So a lot of people ask with cloud-based software, is my data secure? That yes, that is the case with Strayos. So benefits of the cloud-based software, you can read a lot of reference material on that. Good, bad, right, or wrong. It's all serving the benefit of collaboration, securing data, and also allowing users to access this data remotely in different locations. So hope that answers that question well for the user.
Perfect. Well, I think that's all we're going to be able to get to. There's a couple more questions I can see in here that are quite deep and quite technical. So I will say I'm sorry if we didn't quite get to your question, but any of these questions that we didn't answer today, we'll be reaching out to you directly to get you the information that you need. So apologies for not addressing it directly here, but we'll absolutely make sure that we get that info for you. So that's basically the presentation. Thank you very much to everyone for taking the time to hear us talk about about this exciting solution. I just want to point you towards our email addresses. So I've got Matteo and myself here listed on this page. So if you have any questions, if you want a little bit more information, if you'd like to know more about the drone or the software, you'd like some kind of demonstration, just let us know. We're more than happy to go through any of the things that we talked about today, or indeed any other topics that might be related to this solution and anything else as well. So again, thanks very much for your time. I really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you all.